Hello, everybody. Doug and Alea again. And in this session, we got to thinking about how many people chase stuff. If only I had the big house. If only I had a house on the beach. If only I was driving a Tesla S. If only I had a Rolls Royce. If only I had that diamond ring, I would be so much happier. And this is a difficult problem for many people because we live in a consumer society and we see people that have more than we do financially, more wealth, for example. And we think that if we just had a little bit more wealth, or we lived in a bigger house, or we had a bigger car, or our kids went to a better school, that we would be happy. And yet we know, or at least we were told, that those externalities don't make us happy. And the truth of the matter is they don't. So what we want to talk about is our experiences, about how we overcame all of this. And I'll start by talking a little bit about my background and then what I had to do to shift, to move from a place of the grass is greener on the other side of the hill to a place of intense contentment, satisfaction, and happiness, and not having those desires anymore. In fact, I kind of have the anti-desire. I'll talk about that. So I grew up in affluence, went to an Ivy League college and came back from college in New Hampshire at Dartmouth and went to law school. You know, after law school, it was about making money and trying to gain status. And for a long time, I had a lot of desires to have a big house, to have a big car, to be comfortable. And I achieved all of that. I had a really nice car. I lived on 20 acres in a 4,000 square foot home, beautiful home you know, from all outward appearances, life was perfect, except that it wasn't, because I was fundamentally an unhappy, immature person, and nothing I did satisfied me. I thought that if I won big cases, that would make me happy. I won big cases, didn't make me happy. It just made me more miserable. And, you know, I was digging myself into an emotional hole. I did find things that did make me happy. And most of the time, it was helping other people. So I learned, I've been skiing all my life, and I became a ski instructor in college. And I found that teaching skiing, helping other people enjoy the sport, love the sport as much as I do, was really satisfying to me. And when I took up the martial arts and ultimately became a secondary black belt and an instructor, I found that teaching kids and teaching adults who wanted to become martial artists really satisfying. Serving others was really a satisfying thing to do. And every now and then I would have a case that I handled as a trial lawyer where I was actually serving somebody. And that was very satisfying to be able to do that, even though being a trial lawyer is a horrible way to make a living. So what shift? I left the practice of law when I was 50 years old, just walked away from a very large, wealthy law practice with 1 week's notice to become a peacemaker and mediator. In the ensuing 10 years, I developed a bunch of strategies. We've talked about a lot of them here, strategies and skills based on neuroscience on how to de-escalate people. And that led to the Prison of Peace Project. I was still thinking we're going to have a thing. But what really shifted me was when Laurel Coffer and I, my dear friend, Laurel, and I started the Prison of Peace Project in 2010. And we started going into prisons, training lifers and long-termers in maximum security prisons, how to be peacemakers and mediators. That was really hard work. And we do that work today. Now we're post-pandemic, and I won't go into the whole story of what's going on, but you can check out our website, prisonofpeace.org, if you want to learn more about it. But I think that was when things really started to shift. All of a sudden I realized that my desire for wealth and fame and recognition and having a big car, it all went away. And it went away because I found a deep meaning in my life. And that was serving others, either through Prison of Peace or doing my consulting work or my coaching work or my training and teaching, all of it, helping others to find the same path to happiness and contentment that I had found, and helping them on the same path that I followed. And to this day, we sit and talk about, it'd be nice to have a house somewhere else. And I think about it, I think, no, I'm perfectly happy here. Although, you know, sometimes the heat gets a little oppressive, but Still, overall, this is a really, really nice life that we have right now. So you eventually, if you find a way to serve other people and create meaning in your life beyond your own life, then you discover that all these externalities that you think will make you happy actually go away. And you find that the true happiness, as Viktor Frankl said in his book, The Meaning of Life, is to serve other people. And when you get to that place where you can find ways to serve others in ways that are meaningful to you, your need to fill the hole inside you with stuff gets filled up with love and satisfaction and contentment and pride. And you don't need that stuff anymore. And you become unchained from the desire to have more. Alea?
So I'm going to approach it from a slightly different angle and give some really practical tools around how to create a really fulfilling life for yourself. And there is the piece around service, but then we want to ask ourselves, are we serving in a healthy co-creative way, or are we serving in a way that depletes us? And so then we're naturally going to be looking for things to fill ourselves up in the outer world, wanting more support, maybe more validation, appreciation, respect, purpose, meaning. And so I'm actually just going to invite you right now to take a deep breath in and feel into 2, 3, 5 qualities that you really value. And we're just going to give you a couple examples. Do you value peace? Do you value purity? Do you value freedom? Do you value safety? Do you value support? And just write down, maybe it's joy, laughter, humor, fulfillment, to be fulfilled, to have purpose, to have meaning. What is it that you really, really value? What are your top 3 or 5 priorities in your life right now? And as you write down those top priorities, now start exploring that nothing in the outer world, not even what you do in the outer world or where you live or the house, the home, the relationship, none of those things in the outer world are actually going to give you these things that you value. And you might be like, what are you talking about? So I'm just going to give you the example of, let's say you value freedom. And you think that if you have a certain amount of money, then you'll feel free. Play with the idea that in order to have a fulfilling life, a joyful life, a happy life, you bring those reference points for freedom off of the money or off of the career, off of what you do in the outer world. And you bring these freedom reference points back to your core. It's part of like an energetic process that I work with people and help them through. So you're using some energetic aspect of you to bring your reference points for your freedom or whatever the quality is off of the outer world and back to this inner river of light that flows within you. And then you're exploring the idea of what would it be like to find that freedom or that safety or that sense of support or that sense of fulfillment in direct connection with the light that flows within you. And then you're starting to meet your needs internally, be filled up internally, not even on what you do. And so Doug talks a bit about service, but we can go into service and we can say, oh, when I work with these people and I do this level of work with them, then it's really fulfilling. But then that means that we're still placing our reference points and responsibility for fulfillment externally. When we do that, we move into the victim, then we move into the empty, then we move into the not enough, then we move into the needs, all of the things that we think we need. And so start feeling into your priorities, your primary core priorities that you really value at this point in time in your life, recognizing too that as you spiritually grow and evolve and your life unfolds, your chapters are going to change and you're going to value different things. So when you were 20, freedom and maybe safety or support or safety, freedom, support might have been really important to you. And now when you're in your 40s or your 50s or your 60s, maybe fulfillment's really important to you. So as you go through different phases of your life, your priorities are going to change, and then it's important to adjust for the priorities that you have now and then reassess your decision to, if I do this, then is that in alignment with my priority? And holding the reference points and the responsibility for meeting the needs deep in the core. The other piece of never being happy, because if we get into the if only I had, if I lived here, if I had the physical dimensional reality of, then I'd be happy, then I'd be fulfilled. That is also another indicator of we're wanting to become more full inside. So when we're in the perception of lack, of the I don't have enough, that's an indicator that somewhere inside us we're not feeling enough. And so we want to use that moment more like an awareness moment, a teaching moment for ourselves, and go, so if I'm feeling the not enough out here, where am I feeling the not enough in here? And how could I start to feel and cultivate a stronger current, more love, more light, feel where I am enough deep in the core, start holding the reference points for perfection deep in your core, and then you're not needing to feel the perfection or the fulfillment externally. And then as you do that internally, energetically, you start to create a life that is the reflection of the inner fulfillment or the inner freedom or the inner joy or the inner happy. So everything that you do, everywhere that you live, all the relationships, you start perceiving the freedom, the joy, the fulfillment, the safety, the connection, the validation, because that's the lens that you are sitting in, that's the lens you are seeing through. So those are just some of the practical energetic practices that you can bring in that might be able to help you shift the stance and move and craft and create a life that is more fulfilling and more joyful and gets you out of the cycle of the needs. And that is Emmy saying hi. Anything else, Doug?
That's good.
Okay. Have a great night, everyone.